gamblers? Let the pros show you how to make money with this week's edition of the Countdown to Kickoff, the only national TV pregame show dedicated to breaking down this weekend's top football games from a point spread perspective. General Manager Al DeMarco, a former sports reporter who brings over 20 years of handicapping experience to the table, gives you the inside edge on this week's action. You've seen him on FoxSports.com, MSNBC, and Comcast Sports TV. Now get his best bets this weekend for free.
NFL underdogs went 10-6 in week 2 of the season. And guys, when the puppies are barking that loudly, only two things are happening, and neither one is good from our perspective as gamblers. Number one, bookmakers are making a fortune. Number two, gamblers are probably losing their shirts. Why is that? Because basic human nature dictates that everybody gravitates towards the favorites. But listen, guys, you know, the first 2 weeks of the season, the underdogs are actually 16-15-1 against the spread. In case you happen to be on Jeopardy next week, here's the answer to your question. 15 of those 16 underdogs have won the damn game outright. So what does that mean for week number 3? Do you look for all the dogs on the board? Absolutely not. Guys, it's all cyclical. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I'm telling you, what goes around comes around. You're going to see over the course of the season, the dogs and the favorites, they're each going to have their respective runs, but more often than not, week after week, you're going to only see a 1 or 2 game differential between how the favorites or how the underdogs cover. That's why you need this show. Countdown to Kickoff, the only nationally televised show to break down your top NFL games from a point spread perspective. And I'm going to break down 4 of them for you today. Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Minnesota, San Diego, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Seattle, and Chicago. Let's get with it, guys. First of all, the Steelers are a 1 to 1.5 point favorite at St. Louis. Now, I love the way the Steelers, who I went against in week number 1, buying the half point with the Patriots, getting the cover with New England when they won 28-21 in Foxborough. But last week, I was right back on the Steelers bandwagon because I thought last week's opponent, San Francisco, was an obvious disadvantage. Short week, having played Minnesota on Monday night, traveling to the East Coast time zone, playing a game that essentially kicked off at 10 o'clock San Francisco time in the morning, and the Steelers just absolutely destroyed them. 43-18, 453 total yards in that game, despite only having a time of possession of 23 minutes. That's how efficient the offense was. Who has the number 1 offense in the NFL first 2 weeks of the season? Your Steelers, 458 yards and 64 points scored. And here's the amazing thing, guys. They did this without one of their key playmakers, Le'Veon Bell, who was suspended the first 2 games. How important is he? Led the AFC in rushing last year at 1,361 yards. Also 83 receptions out of the backfield for another 854 yards. The good news for the Steelers, the really great news, if you're Todd Haley, their offensive coordinator for Pittsburgh, is you've got another weapon. Not only is Bell coming back, but the guy you picked up to fill in when he was out, D'Angelo Williams, the former Carolina star, he ran for 200 yards in the first 2 games combined and averaged 5 yards a pop. This makes Ben Roethlisberger all the more dangerous. And listen, I think the Steelers are going to be able to run the ball very effectively this week against the St. Louis defense. It's given up an average of 28 points a game. They could not do anything to stop the Washington Redskins ground game this past weekend. In fact, they have the 3rd worst rushing defense through the first 2 games of the season, giving up 306 yards, 4.4 yards a carry. Last week, Matt Jones, the rookie out of Florida, 19 carries, 123 yards rushing in that 24-10 loss on the road for the Rams. So I love the Steelers in this one, and that's one of your featured plays. Now listen, these are my free plays. These are not my best bets. If you want my best bet for Sunday, you can get it for free. In fact, you can get my best bet and the best bet of all 10 handicappers at this site absolutely free, no strings attached. We're talking over $1,000 worth of action. All you've got to do is go to the homepage and click on the 1-day free all-access pass. You pick the day. You want Saturday's college football, you want Sunday's NFL, you want the Monday night action, you get all the handicappers' plays, all their best bets, over $1,000 of action, absolutely free. Why do I do it? Well, 2 reasons. 1, I'm general manager of the site. I can do whatever the hell I want to. And number 2, I believe that I've assembled a group of handicappers that can consistently make you money over the long haul. Nobody wins every day, guys. You know that as well as I do, okay? Just like the sky is blue. But listen, you want to make money consistently over the long haul, and I think our guys can do it. So what better way to prove it to you than to give you all of the action, all the handicappers' best bets for free, no strings attached. Free means free. Check out the 1-day free all-access pass. Get over $1,000 worth of action on the house. Next game I'm going to take a look at, guys, is going to be Minnesota minus the 2.5 at home against San Diego. Second straight week, Chargers are coming to the East Coast. Lost by 5 at Cincinnati, 24-19 last Sunday. Now they're going to be playing a game that's going to be kicking off, in essence, at 10 o'clock Pacific Coast time in the morning, and that is so hard for these West Coast teams. You saw what happened to the Chargers last week. You saw what happened to the 49ers. I just talked about it as well. Minnesota, on the other hand, came back home last week, short week after playing and losing Monday night at San Francisco, took care of business very easily against the Detroit Lions team. A same Detroit Lions team that jumped out to a 21-3 second quarter lead at San Diego. Now, true, the Chargers roared back with 30 straight points. Philip Rivers was tremendous in that game. But what are you doing falling down 21-3 to the Detroit Lions at home in the first place? That's my issue with the Chargers here. Second straight game on the road. Minnesota, I used them as a free pick last week against the Lions. I said that Adrian Peterson, who was more or less forgotten in the Monday night loss at San Francisco, they had to give him the ball 25 to 35 times. They would ride him to the win. And that's what they did. I mean, 29 carries, 134 yards, 192 total yards in the game. I don't care that the Chargers are on a 13-7-1 roll as a road dog. I like the Vikings here. If this game goes to 3 or even 3.5 or even 4, which I don't think it will, but at 3.5, you got to buy down the hook on Minnesota, guys. I believe the single best strategy that I can give you, and a piece of advice I can give you, something that has made me more money and saved me more money by turning potential losses into pushes and pushes into wins, is buying the half point either up or down on the favorite or the underdog, respectively, when the line crosses either 3, 4, 7, and 10. Now listen, it's a great debate. If you're betting 10 games on the board, it's not a good strategy for you. But if you're like me and you're isolating one single game, that extra juice is worth it to save yourself from losses and to turn those losses into pushes and pushes into wins. Same scenario applies, guys, for the Baltimore-Cincinnati game, because I'm backing the Ravens minus 2.5. If it goes to 3, which I think it will, you got to buy down the half point on Baltimore. First time in the John Harbaugh, Joe Flacco era, the Ravens have started 0-2. Now, I can understand the loss at Denver against that tough Denver defense, but what the hell happened in Oakland last week? I mean, that's a head-scratcher. Yeah, the offense that was stymied at Denver really came to life, 33 points, 500 yards, and I understand the defense misses Terrell Suggs and his pass-rushing ability, but what the hell happened to the rest of the Baltimore defense? They were just savagely ripped to shreds by Oakland, and Derek Carr looked like a future Hall of Famer. 37 points for the Raiders, 448 total yards in that contest. And now they take on a Bengals team that have dominated them over the years, winning and covering 3 straight in 4 of the last 5 meetings. And the Bengals, with Marvin Lewis's defense, have absolutely given Joe Flacco fits. Lifetime in 14 career starts against him. 13 touchdowns, 18 interceptions, just a tad under 60% completions, and only an average of 191 yards a game. That's the bad news. Here's the good news. Ravens, 35-7 straight up at home since 2010. Andy Dalton, good news as well. Because when has Andy Dalton ever delivered in a big game? So the fact that he has 5 touchdown passes and over 480 yards passing the first 2 games means nothing to me. Must-win situation for Baltimore. I'm going to buck the trends here. I know the Bengals are on a 24-1 ATS run as a dog of 3 or less. I know that the Ravens have only covered 6 of their last 18 against division foes. But again, I think Baltimore is to play in this game. Guys, this is your NFL Countdown to Kickoff show. You can watch my daily video report, which is accessible on my homepage right here at the site every single day, and get my free picks, my witty, insightful analysis. You can watch my beautiful, good-looking face, and you also get money-saving discount coupons every single day, because I have always been a believer that you don't have to spend big money to make big money in this thing we do and call and love gambling, guys. So watch the daily video report, get the in-depth previews, get the free picks, and save money in the process. Again, check out the daily video report on my homepage every day. Your last game, Seattle, minus 14.5 to 15 at home against Chicago. Legion of Boom, more like the Legion of Bust the first 2 weeks of the season, giving up 61 points and losses in overtime at St. Louis, and then last Sunday night at Green Bay. But it's not just the defense's problem. The offense has struggled too. They only had 276 total yards of offense at Green Bay. Russell Wilson, the offensive line, has afforded him very little protection. Marshawn Lynch's mommies getting into the action on social media, ripping the offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell. You got some issues here. The good news is the Bears are coming to town. Maybe even the better news, Cam Chancellor's ending his holdout. He might even be playing. Listen, the Bears just gave up a total of 79 points in back-to-back home losses to open the season against Arizona and Green Bay. And although Bears fans are probably happy that Jay Cutler isn't playing, do you really want to have Cutler in there or Jimmy Clausen? Yes, Jimmy Clausen, 1-10 straight up lifetime as an NFL starter. His first start in years, playing at the loudest venue in all of sports, CenturyLink Field, where Seattle's on a 15-6 ATS roll as a regular season home chalk since 2012. Also, Seahawks have covered 11 of their last 12 home openers. The Bears 11-21-1 ATS overall skid. 2-time defending NFC champs starting the season 0-3. Ain't gonna happen. Seattle might win this one like 31-9. It's gonna be a blowout, the easiest one on the board. Well, guys, remember, you can get my best bet, the best bets of all the handicappers here at the site, absolutely free, over $1,000 worth of action. All you got to do is check out the one-day free all-access pass. Again, the only way you lose is if you don't take advantage of a free offer that I'm giving you. 1 day free all access pass. Until next week, good luck, and I'll catch you again on my daily video reports.